Hillary, do you think we're mental or are we normal?
Well, we're definitely not normal because normal sucks.
What are you?
I'm an animal in the zoo, but I've escaped.
Bonnie, sit your butt down in the chair already.
Go! Hillary! Hillary!
Hillary's my drug.
You gotta shut up, I'm in there. When we met, it was like a door opening.
It's like something important was finally happening, you know? And we did more in that day than most people do in their whole lifetime.
Why?
I told you 50 times!
You told me bullshit. You told me lies that Hillary fed you.
Put your head down.
You don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it to some horny dog like you. Hillary! Bonnie! Oh, my father never hurt me. He just raped me.
What about love?
What about love?
Well, do you think love is as important as fun?
Fun is the only thing that I believe in.
If something isn't fun, you don't do it. If something's fun, you love it, and if you love something, it must be fun.
People who shit on their kids are not gonna stop. Something makes them do it. Everybody knows it's wrong, but they do it anyway.
Did you see that dog? Did you see the look on that lady's face?
It was like we were like werewolves that day.
You bitch! And your face looks like a condom!
So maybe they're turning you on a little, John.
Oh,
I see
wait
this
a second.
happen all the
Damn
time.
it. They're just kids.
It was nuclear.
Well, that's what Mrs. Farmer thought, and look what happened to her.
Can I get you a cup of tea?
Just because I enjoyed it doesn't mean I didn't know it was wrong.
It's all fun. That's the meaning of life.
Hey guys, What's Communications? Welcome to my review of a 1994 film called Fun. It was directed by Rafal Zielinski, same guy who directed Screwballs, Screwballs 2, Screwballs Hotel, and one of the worst National Lampoon's comedies in recent memory called Last Resort, starring Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. Yeah, the same guy who directed those movies directed a movie that won the Special Grand Prize Jury Award at the Sundance Film Festival in 1994. The same year he directed The Last Resort. Yeah. Anyway, this is a film that was requested to me by a new YouTuber on here named Adam Watson, who's been leaving a lot of comments, so I thought I'd return the favor, so to speak. And I really liked this movie. I was really surprised by this film. This usually isn't a type of movie I enjoy, but I thought this film was very captivating. I thought it was very thought-provoking. I thought it was I almost want to say addicting in a way, because it's not like addicting in the terms of like you watch it over and over again. I'm talking about how it just draws you in. It sucks you in right from the very beginning, because I really like the way it's set up with its, it takes color photography, scenes of color, and the sequences that are in color are basically of the exploits of these two girls, and the scenes in black and white are when they're in prison. So that's basically basically the present day. So the scenes in color are basically flashbacks, and the film basically does a good job, in my opinion, of keeping a lot of this stuff vague about the true intentions of these girls and their fun, so to speak. And also, I think it was just really interesting, really, captivating, and really kept you going. It's an hour. It's like 105 minutes, but it goes by pretty quick. The film's written by James Bosley. It's also based on a play that he also wrote. It's actually based also on a true story. It's the play itself was based on a murder that took place in Auburn, California in 1983 by 14-year-old Shirley Wolf and 15-year-old Cindy Collier. The film's title is derived from a diary entry by Wolf, which read, "Today Cindy and I ran away and killed an old lady. It was lots of fun." So basically, the film basically follows the trials, tribulations, and murderous exploits of two teenage girls, Bonnie and Hillary. And Bonnie is played by Alicia Witt, is the little girl from Dune, Alia. She played Alia or from Dune. So the little girl from Dune is all grown up and not doing porn here, but she's all grown up in this film as Bonnie. And I thought she was excellent. She did a great job playing this mentally unstable young teenager who is just aloof all over the place and spaced out almost 100% of the time. And out of the girls, I think she was the loopiest. She was definitely the crazy one. And then you have Renee Humphrey, who plays Hillary. And she did a really good job, too, as well. I thought she was just more kind of like a bad girl. Like, she was troubled, and she had a troubled childhood, and she went from house to house. Her stepdad was an asshole, she had a bad family. But I didn't really think that she was crazy. I just felt that she was mentally unstable, yes, but not to the extent that the character of Bonnie was. So basically, these two girls bring out the worst in each other. But, you could say they bring out the best and worst in each other. Because they meet for the first time at a bus stop in Los Angeles, and then they automatically connect. They automatically click. And basically the film, in the flashbacks, they're basically told, by the girls, because they're getting interviewed by this writer for Tomorrow Magazine, played by William R. Moses, who was in Falcon Crest, a soap opera from the 80s. And he's okay. His character's name is John, and he's pretty bland, but he's not anything that's, too horrible. He's just there. And then all the while, he's also getting permission to do this, to talk to these girls and interview them in this juvenile detention facility by Leslie Hope. And Leslie Hope plays this character named Jane. And she was also a troubled youth. She was also in an institution, like this. And she eventually decided to get her act together, so to speak, and move on with her life and get a job and, grow up. And Leslie Hope, you might know her as I think it was Emilio Estevez or Charlie Sheen's, the love interest, basically, in Men at Work. So basically, the film, like I said, it's 105 minutes, but it never gets old for me. It never really gets boring for me because it just consistently does a good job keeping you interested. Because it only gives you bits and pieces of what really happened. So it basically does a good job making you fall in love with these girls and appreciate them and basically start to root for them in their plight. That they should be together because they're best friends. They should be together. This is wrong. They're separating these girls. They should be together. They're friends. There's scenes in the film where they're screaming at each other in the middle of the night. They're screaming each other's names. They're not allowed to see each other. This isn't right. And you, along with the writer John, are feeling the same way. You start to fall in love with these girls. You see their exploits. They're harmless. Whatever. They hang out together and slept together in bed. That's not much of anything. They played some pranks on some guys. Okay, right. They rang some doorbells. Said some swear words. Said this and that. It's nothing that bad. But then when you see scenes where they're washing, Bonnie's washing blood out of her hair, and you're like, murdering that guy was fun. What? Murdering that person, what was fun, huh? And then you're starting to it really starts to fuck with you, and then you're trying to think, like, what is going on? And then as the film goes along, it basically waits until the very end to pull the rug out from underneath you and show you the true nature, to show you what these girls really did, and how horrific an act that they committed. This murderous act of this harmless old lady that they just let themselves into her house by lying that Hillary said that Bonnie was sick and they needed use the phone. And then, basically they just take it, Bonnie takes a knife. Hillary shoves the girl into the old lady, but then Bonnie just stabs her like 50 million times, well, it seems like 50 times. She's laughing all while she's doing it. So it's like, what is fun? What does this film constitute as fun? And you even have lines where the girl Jane's asking Bonnie, like, why did you do it? Because it was fun. It's like, what do you mean it was fun? That's bullshit. It's like, no, it was fun. You had fun killing this woman? Yes, I had fun. The most fun I ever had in my life. It's just like... It's unsettling. It's a little bit disturbing. It's not a Serbian film or anything like that. It's not like Cannibal Holocaust, but it just does a good job being subversive. Because it's all like giving you this whole, oh, lovey-dovey, oh, they're best friends forever type thing. They're hanging out. Oh, they're hanging out at an overpass. They meet together. They're having, good time. They're joking around. They're two sort of emo girls. Well, they got their problems, but they're not, they're not any different from you or I or whatever. But as the film goes along, it just gets, they're people that should not be together because they cause the worst things. So it's like the best and worst of both worlds for them. They're best friends, but they do the worst things together. So there's a reason why they're separated, and that's what you figure out in the end, that Jane in the end was right. They should be separated, because together they're a terror. So basically, like I said, the film just does a good job, building up your awareness of these girls, and the performances are really solid. And so, basically, it pulls the rug out from underneath you, shows you who these girls really are, why they're separated, and they actually ultimately do get separated in the end. Bonnie gets, Hillary gets sent to another institution, and Bonnie's left alone, and she's never had a friend before, so she doesn't take it, and so she tries to commit suicide. She ends up in a coma, and eventually dies. And there's even a scene where John calls Hillary up on the phone, tells her, Bonnie, basically died of a coma, recently. And she's like, oh, you got anything to say to that? No comment. And it's basically because they were friends, but then she found out, by John, that she was kind of lying to her about the things that, she was telling her about, that she was lying to her, and then that kind of didn't help. So ultimately, kind of feel that Hillary's the one that was kind of, in a way, sort of the victim. She was a bad girl, but then she met it with Bonnie, and then they just decided to do the worst things possible together. And then, she ultimately now can move on with her life because Bonnie's not around. And that's definitely depressing that a young girl basically killed herself because she lost the only friend she ever had. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, these people are friends, but they're friends of murder. That's not necessarily a good thing. And also, it's a hard film to review because it's really not much of a plot. It just talks about these girls and the true nature behind their acts. Talks about how they met. It's basically sequences of them hanging out. It's just the balancing out of the color and black and white photography I thought was really genius. And I thought the writing was really good by James Bosley. Some really good dialogue. I like the one where Renee Humphrey, she's talking about, we were like werewolves that night. It's like there was like interesting sort of parallels. They were talking about werewolves and Frankenstein monsters and talking about horror film characters, and I just thought it was honestly kind of fun, despite its subject material. It was actually kind of fun to watch because it was just really it was really captivating, interesting. It really tricked you. You fell for these girls, and then as you hopefully find out that they're the worst possible couple you can imagine, then you're like, wow, I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong about these two. So I think the film does a really good job, and like I said, it's very subversive and does a really good job being subversive. But, like I said, I can see why it got a lot of awards. I think it definitely deserved it in that regard. But I really don't know what to say about the film Phonics. It was rated at 5 stars. I'd probably give it 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it late at night. It kept me, entertained and interested in the proceedings, and it never really got dull or boring for me because I just thought the idea and the way that it was set up was just genius. It was brilliant because it was like different time zones and different time frames, and you never knew what was really going on until the end of the film. So it did a great job making you sit through till the end. But I do know that it's not a film for everybody. So, but if it looks interesting to you, give it a look. But anyway, I really don't know what to say, folks, except if thanks for watching my review of Fun, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.